in a second. Like that kind of capability.
Yeah.
If that's
By the way,
real.
I tried to ask around MIT, and there's no record of Balthazar ever being there.
No, I'll tell you why. I can't tell you why. We're gonna edit this out. Okay, and we're back. See, that's why. Doesn't it make sense now?
Yeah.
Well, there wasn't a record of him being at Los Alamos. They lied about that. When he was on the employee register. Not only that, when they took him to Los Alamos, he navigated his way through the entire building. He knew the security guards. He talked to people that had worked there when he worked there. Some of them went on the record, some of them were unwilling to go on the record. He knew the very machine that they used to detect the length of the digits in your fingers, through some sort of I don't know what kind of scan it is, but you put your hand on it and you describe it, and someone took a photo of it that had existed in Los Alamos. It's like, yeah, that's it. He went from there. I mean, it was clear that he has a very high level of scientific sophistication, right? He developed this rocket engine that he put in his Honda. So he put a fucking jet engine in a Honda. He developed a hydrogen engine to put in his Corvette. Like, this is all like working, functional stuff. He talked about it, like how incredible it was. I mean, there's a video of him describing his Corvette. The guy's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, but he also
We all have demons.
I don't know if I should comment on that part or not. I'm tempted to. But all of this started since we started using nukes, which brings us back to the reality that the nukes aren't off the table.
Right. Well, all this started because we were using nukes, and that's when the wave of UFO appearances happened.
Yeah.
See, I'm inclined to believe that we are being visited. And if we are being visited, the level of sophistication of any civilization that's able to send, whether it's a drone, piloted by AI or by some sort of robot creatures, like, I would measure us, I would watch us, I would keep a fucking very close eye on our capabilities. And the stories of them hovering over nuclear facilities and shutting down all of their facilities, shutting down all the weapon systems, that would make sense. Like, if I was monitoring from another world, I would say, look, these are territorial apes with nuclear weapons, and we need to figure out a way to stop them in their transition. They're making a transition from extremely primitive to using tools to engines, the industrial age, to the technological age in which we're at now, where things are accelerating far beyond our capacity to understand the implications of what happens if, like your field study, AI. If AI gets implemented on a large scale and becomes sentient, and then countries that have, I don't even know what our morals are, but if we had that capability in a brutal military dictatorship and they decided to use it to control the entire world,
And they probably have information about how other civilizations have failed. The Great Filter had stopped them from existing, and they realized when they started to get something like nuclear weapons, that's when, all within like 100 years, it all goes to shit. So if you want to preserve a particular civilization, like a tribe, you want to start helping them out. That's the positive spin of it. I do think that their capability, I think the universe is just full of civilizations. I think their capability is far, far superior.
but maybe not. Maybe we're the best.
I just don't, I can't imagine that.
Why not? Someone has to be the best.
Yeah, why is it America? Imagine we're the best in the universe. This is as good as it gets. This is the best.
Most people
because I can see that argument. Boy, I've been listening to a lot of people tell me how they feel about America. The country, by the way, I love, and I should say this. I joke around about this, but I am American. I believe in the ideals of this country. I will die an American. I love this country. And also, my heart is the only thing I care about is with the people in terms of the war in Ukraine, is with the people of Ukraine. And I do think that the invasion of Ukraine is a war crime, and I think Putin in this act is a war criminal. I just want to put that on the table because we're
a lot. Okay, how about what we're doing with plants?
Yeah.
We now know that plants have some sort of innate intelligence, some sort of ability to communication, some sort of a community that they share with the mycelium, with neighboring plants. They allocate resources to plants that are in jeopardy. They release defense chemicals when they know they're being eaten.
Your cell is screaming in pain.
It might be.
And then, aliens obviously would be able to know this kind of information much better if you have a deep understanding of what is life. What is a life form? How do you go from non-life to life? You're able to understand what is the nature of consciousness, what is the nature of suffering, and then you can see maybe plants do suffer, maybe to lesser degrees than humans, but at scale, we're basically parasites and torturers of all life on Earth. They can have that perspective, but I just think the most advanced alien civilization would be the one that reaches us first. And so they would be just orders of magnitude more advanced. So anything we see visibly in terms of stuff that Commander Freeman saw, that's them trying to sort of talk down to us, like dumb down their stuff to be able to communicate some kind of way with us. Otherwise, if they wanted to be invisible, I think they could be invisible to us.
Well, I think they probably are, for the most part.
Yeah,
I think that's why there's unique experiences where people have these interactions with them, and then they don't know what to do or what to say because it seems so bizarre and no one wants to believe it because we have an inability to really think rationally about something that we have no evidence of. Like, if someone has an experience, it's a completely unique experience. So, like, if you walk outside of the studio and you get in your car and then all of a sudden something hovers over your car, all traffic stops around you, time stands still, your car stops, you get outside the car and this thing hovers and these creatures come out and they communicate with you. They communicate with you telepathically and tell you that this civilization, that life itself on Earth is in grave danger and that you have to do your best to try to implement artificial intelligence in a way that's going to subvert that, that's going to save people. This is imperative. And if you don't do that, there's a real possibility with the capabilities of weapons now that they're going to miss something. And something's going to detonate. It's going to start a domino chain of events that's going to be unstoppable. It's going to wipe out life on Earth. And then they go away. And then you're standing there in front of your car. And then traffic starts moving again. And you're just standing there and you go, what the fuck happened? Was that real? And then you call me. And you go, hey, Joe. I believe you. I'm fucking crazy. I believe a lot of shit.
But that's like so that's a possibility, but that's like a physical manifestation. I just think there's so many other ways to influence humans. Like, what about, where do ideas come from? What about the receiving of ideas? What about consciousness itself?
Yeah. I think ideas are aliens.
Yeah, they're like, tell me one scientist or artist that can tell you where their good ideas came from.
Right.
They're all like, it's never systematic. It's always like you're like channeling, you're a receiver, an antenna for something.
Yeah,
where's that coming from?
Creativity, right?
Yeah, where's that coming from?
Where's it coming from? The muse. I mean, Pressfield always talks openly about the muse, and he treats it that way. When he sits down to write, he treats it like it's a real object that's giving him information. And that he treats it with respect, because that's how the muse rewards him for his hard work.
Yeah, but also, not just ideas, consciousness itself.
Yeah.
Like, we take this for granted. It feels like something to be this.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? Because, like, animals have this. Maybe this kind of consciousness that we have, ability to richly experience the world in a really interesting, complicated way, maybe that's a gift from elsewhere for us to be able to understand ourselves and to create something that will save this place.
Or maybe it's a function of the universe that constantly encourages innovation. If you look, I've said this ad nauseum, but I'll say it again because it fits into this conversation. If you were observing the Earth from afar, if you had no context, if you didn't understand the human species at all, if you were completely alien from it, you're a being made of light, and you're observing what these creatures do. Well, what's the predominant change-oriented creature on this planet? It's humans. And what do humans do? Well, it seems like they make better and better stuff. That's what they're always doing. And maybe that's what materialism is all about. Maybe our obsession with materialism is an insurance policy that fuels constant innovation. You know, like,
Agreed.
I have a phone, an iPhone, one of my other phones, that's 3 years old, maybe. When I use it, I can't fucking tell. But when the new one comes out, I'm gonna be one of the first dorks to get it. Why am I gonna get it? Because I'm a fucking idiot. Because I want the newest, latest, greatest shit. And I want to fuel this innovation. Well, why is
Oh,
that?
yeah, that's why you got it.
Well, what does it do? What are we doing? Well, we're eventually moving towards more and more capable things, more and more capable machines. We are the electronic caterpillar. We're giving birth to the butterfly, and we're making a cocoon, and we don't even know why. We're just fucking constantly trying to buy the newest. Oh, this one goes 0 to 16, 1.9 seconds. Oh, gotta get it. You know, and we're constantly involved in this pursuit of technological innovation. Now, if you think of ideas, every single thing that exists on this planet, whether it's a mug or a house or a fucking windmill that creates electricity, all of those came out of the human imagination. All of them. You had an idea, a guy collaborates with this
Or a
woman, and she has an
pandemic.
idea, and her idea fits with your idea, and it makes your idea better and more
Weaponized,
capable. And then you get together with a group of people, you
virus.
sort of form a startup, and your ideas all gel together, and you're working 16 hours a day around the clock to make the world a better place with this new idea, and this new product, and this new innovation, and everything gets better over time. Nobody goes, you know what? These phones we got here right now, we're good. Let's just stop innovating. Let's tell Samsung and Apple, let's just leave it the way it is, and we're good with phones. And let's channel this into cancer research. Let's channel all this creativity into fertility work. Let's try to take the phthalates out of the fucking bloodstreams and the microplastics out of people's water supply. No.
What happened?
This episode is brought to you by Buffalo Trace. This is some damn good whiskey. And you know something's gotta be good when it's been around a long time. And Buffalo Trace has been around a long time. We're talking a really long time. Like crafted at the oldest continually operating distillery in America. Long time. They've been making Buffalo Trace there since 1773, more than 200 years. Even during that bullshit Prohibition era, they somehow got a permit to continue making whiskey for medicinal purposes. And in that time, no other distillery in the world has won more awards than Buffalo Trace. Made from corn, rye, and barley, and aged in new oak barrels, it matures for twice as long as most bourbons. If the whiskey in the barrel is not ready to go in the bottle, it doesn't. Simple as that. The result is a bold, robust flavor that is still incredibly smooth. So get your hands on a bottle of Buffalo Trace bourbon and discover for yourself why this whiskey wins so many awards. I will be sipping on some tonight. Distilled, aged, and bottled by Buffalo Trace Distillery. 90 proof, Franklin County, Kentucky. Buffalo Trace. American, family owned, and independent. No. More, better, crazier stuff.
But by the way, to push back, you said nobody says we had enough of the communist regimes did. Authoritarian regimes often do. They actually suffocate innovation, which is interesting. If you look at Earth as a whole, it seems like that's why they fail. It's like the capitalist imperative. The innovative societies flourish, and they push out. Throughout history, they get rid of the tyrants and the authoritarians and so on. Because there's something about innovation that like wins.
Yeah.
It's like it is almost like at least Earth wants us to be innovative.
Well, the human race wants to innovate. It seems like the whole universe wants constant states of complexity. Just from the time the Big Bang exists to multi-celled organisms to conscious things that manipulate their environment like human beings. It's this constant state of ever-increasing complexity.
Yeah, in all different forms, which makes me wonder what that looks like. Because there's probably life here in the solar system on probably if it might be dead, but maybe living on Mars and Titan, different moons throughout, and what the fucking thing looks like. Because there's moons that are volcanoes, there's moons that are ice oceans, and that's gonna be all weird kinds of life. It could be microscopic, it could be gigantic things that span like, I don't know, kilometers.
Yeah.
I don't know why I say kilometers,
How
miles.
about the fucking the mushroom growth that's in the Pacific Northwest? Mycelium growth that's literally the largest physical organism that's on
That
Earth.
counts as one organism.
Yeah, they think of it as one organism. And it's conscious. It has a consciousness. It's communicating with plants. I mean, fungus breathes air. Yeah, it breathes air. And not only that, it might have come here from panspermia. Might have hitched a ride. Spores exist. They can exist in a vacuum of space. They can exist in insane temperatures. They could have come here, like psilocybin and all these like psychoactive compounds that Terence McKenna believed were responsible for the development of the human brain, doubling the human brain over a period of 2 million years. That's his stone date theory. They might have come from outer space.
There's this idea, I don't know where I read this, Robin Hanson, doesn't matter, but this idea that a super advanced alien civilization planted life somewhere in our galaxy, in this local pocket around our solar system, and then the aliens we're seeing now are just our local neighbors. They're like similarly advanced as us because they started out at the same similar time. But there's daddy that came from somewhere, this giant thing that just planted life and walked away.
Yeah.
I'm just watching from like larger distance, which would better explain the technological advancements of the aliens that visit us are similar to ours. But yeah, they may be 10 times better, but not millions times better.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that we have a bunch of neighbors. And in that case, Elon and the rockets will help us find those neighbors. And there's hope.
Well, look at it this way. If you had neighbors, and your neighbors are a bunch of 18-year-old kids with guns that maybe even admired you if they met you. Like, well, Lex Friedman, what are you doing around here?
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to get you guys to stop fucking blowing up refrigerators in your backyard.
Yeah.
Like... You guys are doing stupid shit, and it's causing real fucking problems in the world.
I would have to watch how I present that case.
But what
to
if
them.
they
I think that could turn quickly, right?
Depends on who they are. I feel like if there was a bunch of 18-year-old dudes that were UFC fans, I could probably knock on their door and talk to them.
And talk a lot of refrigerator.
I could probably explain that what you're doing by putting thermite in these gigantic refrigerators. Have you ever seen these guys that do this? Thermite is, it is called thermite, right? I believe it's called thermite. It's, tannerite. Tannerite? Yeah, that's it. So there's this shit you can buy. Thermite is something else. Thermite is some shit they think cuts.
I typed in thermite and it's coming up as both. So
Yeah, I think thermite is that thing that they believe cuts. Like you could pour it on metal and light it on fire and it'll slice right through the metal. It's like some kind of incendiary compound.
By the way, you have
Yes, now you're ready. Yay.
just for science.
Tell,
Tannerite explosive.
yes, tannerite is what I'm talking about. Thermite is the stuff that cuts metal. So tannerite, what they do is, let's get some icing glasses. Whiskey. Tannerite, what they do is they fill up refrigerators and then they'll shoot it from a distance, and on impact it explodes, and so many people have died fucking with this stuff. Like, man almost killed. Watch this. Okay, watch this guy. He shoots this refrigerator. Watch this. That's Texas. Welcome to Texas. That's where you live.
Welcome to Texas. So you're saying you could talk that guy out of doing that particular activity?
Well, that particular activity is not the worst thing in the world. That's dangerous, and you're probably going to die if you don't. A lot of times people don't understand the physical force that stuff generates. That you think this refrigerator, like they've done it with safes, where they've detonated safes and these enormous vault doors, like bank vault doors, going 150 miles an hour through a fucking tree. Like it's immense amounts of power and minuscule compared to, nuclear explosions. So if, you take me visiting neighbors and say, hey, let me just explain what's gonna happen. If you blow that thing up, you guys can't be anywhere near here. You're gonna have to be like a mile away. What? No, a mile away. Like a mile is only 5,000 feet, kids. And do you know how 5,000 feet is? It's not that far. You can run it in 4 minutes if you're fast. Dallas County explosion caused by teens using Tannerite while target shootings. Yeah, see? This is fucking normal shit. Yeah, you can get it. But Tannerite it's very dangerous stuff and readily available. I know guys who have it.
Yeah. This sounds like a perfect metaphor for nuclear weapons, because I also know guys that have nuclear weapons.
You've seen those videos of when they first detonated nuclear bombs in the ocean. Those tests, They had no idea. They just took a chance. They're like, we have a rough understanding of like how much energy is going to be dispersed and how far. It was way bigger than they thought. Way bigger.
Well, Eric Weinstein is actually a big proponent of return to above ground nuclear testing so that humans can see
what it looks like. Yeah.
What it looks like, because this is real.
Yeah, grab some of it. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, above ground nuclear testing is fucking really dangerous, though. Don't you think we know?
Weapon? No, we don't. He's saying like with Will Smith slapping somebody and we get distracted. We need to be reminded what the actual catastrophic possibilities of the weapons that we have.
Many of those brown. I think that's wine, buddy. Isn't it? Is it really? Oh, cool. Maybe it's good.
It's fancy.
I bet that's really good. Oh, it's 12 years old. Yeah, okay. This is.
I only drink anything above 30 years old, but that's fine.
Well, you're gonna have to slum it, buddy. 30-year-old stuff is great, but God, it's so smooth.
Can you actually tell the difference?
Yeah.
The age of booze.
Unfortunately.
That means you've been drinking
a
good amount.
Well, I really love it. This is my favorite. My favorite is Buffalo Trace for a couple reasons. One, because it's the oldest continually operating distillery in America. It's literally older than America itself. This is from 1773.
Nice.
But it's also just really good, and the people that make it are awesome. Cheers, my friend.
So maybe you could be an expert witness for the Johnny Depp trial on alcohol and drugs.
No, I can't be on drugs because there's too many drugs I'm uninitiated in. Like no cocaine experience whatsoever, none.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you wish there's a part of your life where you've experienced that?
No.
Because some of the greatest comedians ever.
Listen. It's good.
I'm talking to you.
It's good to get crazy. Yeah. Getting crazy is good for comedians. Like it's good to get drunk. I have a very specific kind of mind where my ego should not be encouraged, but in fact be squashed as much as possible. Humility should be encouraged at every turn, and what does that to me is marijuana. Marijuana is a perfect drug for me. Marijuana calms me down, makes me sweeter, much more friendly, much more affectionate, much more kind, much more generous, and more creative. I think about things more. I have an ape mind. My mind is, I don't want to encourage confidence. I have plenty of that. Yeah, I'm not looking to do that. I'm looking to the opposite.
And just a little bit of anxiety and paranoia.
Yeah, I like a little of that. I like a little paranoia. I like it.
And you're saying alcohol.
Alcohol is just like a social lubricant. It makes me silly. Like I'm not a mean drunk. I'm happy drunk. I'm getting happy. I talk about shit. I laugh a lot. I want people to know I love them. It's like I think that's good for me. In moderation, like because I ever get really on the podcast because you're sitting here for hours and hours and just drinking and talking.
By the way, I regret that the Vegas thing where I got really drunk and had a stomach. I don't remember anything, and I feel like I embarrassed myself deeply.
No,
I've recently spoken a few times with David Goggins, just on the phone and stuff, and I just, when you're like,
Should we tell the whole story?
Oh, yeah.
So we go to Schultz's wedding. Great fucking time. And we're having a good old time at our boy Schultz's wedding. It's beautiful. I cried.
Can I take a tangent on that?
Yes, please.
And I think
He's got the video of the airport.
Do you have? I have to mention. I mentioned to you before. I'm a huge fan of Bobby Lee. He should be on this podcast.
I love Bobby Lee. I saw he was on your show. Too.
Yeah,
By the way, Bobby Lee's
he gets
been invited to do my podcast multiple times.
Okay.
Multiple times.
Well, you should get him on.
I'm gonna have to reach out to him.
Yeah, I feel like he's so.
I might have to fly to LA and hold his hand and drag him on a flight.
I think he just needs a real invitation.
He knows I love him. Because there's been a lot of drama lately, and one of the things that happened was somehow or another my name got entered into this thing, and I don't want to get into it in too much detail, but I'm like, okay, I must call Bobby, and I called him and I said, listen, I don't know what kind of, I'm just hearing about this nonsense now, but I love you. I would never let anybody talk bad about you. I would never let anybody come on my show and talk bad about you. I think you're an awesome guy. I think you're incredibly talented, and I know that you have fear of like performing and putting out a special and stuff like that, but I really think you should, because I think you're one of the best comedians alive. And I've said that to him many, many times. So I always give him shit like, when are you gonna do a special? What are you doing? Because Bobby Lee, like, first of all, his special is so tight because he's been doing the same material for so long. He's a fucking amazing comedian. He really is.
But there's also a natural uniqueness to this comedy. Like I can think of like Duncan Trussell. There's certain comedians that just like occupy their own space. Yeah. There's just like it's not that just that they're funny, but this is like you haven't seen one of those.
Right. Yes. Duncan's 100% like that. He's 100% Duncan Trussell. Like whatever influences he has, his influences are like, you know, fucking gurus and weird LSD pioneers, and that, you know, those are the type of people that are influencing his comedy. But he's Bobby Lee he's a unique case.
Yeah, so he'll be an amazing podcast to have with him to be on your show. But
he was great on yours.
Yeah, I was also starstruck, which is weird. Certain people you meet, because you've seen them so many times, you just it hits you like, oh wow, that's a real person too. But especially what's fit, like that was like that when I met you for the first time. But actually, many times since also, it's like because the podcast thing is when you listen to a person, you get to know them really well one way.
Yeah.
So he has a really good Tiger Belly podcast. Anyway,
I was like
and
that.
Still, he wasn't invited to Andrew Schultz's wedding.
Why was that? What happened there?
No, because what Andrew told me was between me and Bobby, and he chose. No, I'm just kidding. It was,
I
I
think they go back and forth about it.
talking shit. Bobby says I think he wants to get married, just not invite Trump. Back to his game. I think that's the joke. Yeah. Anyway, so the wedding, and then we drank. We started drinking.
Yeah, and then Whitney had a gig in Vegas, and she was gonna fly out of Vegas. Yeah. So I talked to my wife, and I talked to you, and I said, let's go with Whitney to Vegas, and we'll fly back tonight. It'll be fun. Yeah. So Lex keeps drinking, and you too.
But you're well with the push-up contest. I get that first.
Oh yeah, the push-up contest was in there. So this is the end of the night when we're at the. Let me just lay this out. Let me lay this out too, because at the end of the night we're supposed to fly back, and there's no jet. So they had chartered a private jet for Whitney to do a private show with Dana Carvey in this woman's house, this opulent house in this beautiful community in Vegas. So, but the whole thing is wild. Like, it's crazy. Flying in, it's Whitney Cummings, ladies and gentlemen. Dana Carvey's here. And you keep drinking. So at the end of the night...
Hey, you're making it sound like you're not also drinking heavily.
Yeah, but look, at the end of the night, you can tell I got a little slurred in my words. Like, listen, I'm not driving it. Oh, hello. I've been out here in Vegas.
You sound quite drunk, sir.
Yeah, I'm a little drunk.
I went to Andrew Schultz's wedding.
But it's also 3 in the morning. I'm really tired, too.
Whitney Cummings and my wife and Rich Friedman. And then we went to Vegas. And got a little drunk. Now, I'm not drunk. I'm wide awake. And I'm drinking coffee.
My favorite part is the end. she realize that you're just fucking with me?
No, she's trying to figure out how to get out of there too, because they were trying to make a decision. We wound up actually getting a car service to drive us all the way back to LA.
All the way back.
It's a 4-hour drive all the way back to LA.
That was fucking out of
And
it.
you're
Out of it.
yeah, and so
Out of it.
Whitney's like fucking doing her taxes next to me. She's wide awake. My wife fell asleep in the very back seat.
Yeah, she's an interesting person. Because, like, amidst all of that, she's on top of shit.
Oh, she's got a lot of energy.
And, like, being able to manage everything. Like,
Yeah.
like all of these different, like, career things, personal things, all of it.
Yeah, well,
You would think comedians are, like, a little bit disorganized. Not her.
No, her brain is very different. Very different than any other comedians that I know. And she's a beautiful person. Like, not just pretty, but like her brain. Like, she's so nice. She really is. She gets caught in conflicts and stuff like that. And like everyone does, you're dealing with social dynamics and shit. But she's a really sweet person. I love her to death.
Yeah, that was,
You got a little
that's
fucked
what,
up, buddy.
That's what happens in Vegas.
You gotta eat.
Yeah,
That's the thing. This whole idea of like fasting, that's out the window as soon as you start boozing. You gotta let that go, because like booze is calories, so you're definitely eating something, but you're eating something that says zero nutrition.
But you don't realize it because you think eventually I'm sure I'll get some food. But then what alcohol does is it becomes a slippery slope to where you no longer remember food or any of that. You just enjoy the full experience.
Yeah.
Just like the conversations with different people along the way. Plus it's Vegas.
Yeah, we were having a good time. We
Yeah.
did a little gambling. The wife and I lost some money playing blackjack.
And
We're not
then
good at that.
I don't know why you thought it was. Why is anyone really good in the end?
Dana White. He's so good they kick him out of casinos.
Blackjack?
Yeah, they listen to this story. He was, this was back when it was the Palms. It's not the Palms anymore, it's something else. Sands now. He won so much money. I think the most he's ever won in a night is $7 million. And, yeah, exactly. Most he ever lost in a night is $1 million. So he's really wealthy. So for him to feel it, to get that charge, he's got to be betting big money. So he won so much money, they told him he's banned from the casino. And he said, oh, really? Well, guess what else is banned? And he pulled the UFC out of the Palms. So the UFC, we used to do the Ultimate Fighter and some of the smaller shows we do at the Palms. And he pulled it from the Palms. And it became like a fucking big to-do. Because they told him he can't gamble there. And he's like, oh, guess what else I can't do here? I can't have fights here, you fucking
I
idiots.
didn't know a casino could do that. To say that
They are allowed to do that, yeah, for no reason other than you're too good at gambling. So you win money. And he's not counting cards. Like, Dana White is not a mathematical genius. He's just a wild fucking dude who likes to gamble.
He basically probably just keeps increasing the amount of money he's staking,
I don't know.
and just walks away when it's a big win.
I
He's
know
like-
so little about that kind of gambling, like Vegas gambling. I've been to Vegas so many times. I've gambled, like I said, I gambled with my wife when you were hammered doing push-ups with David Goggins.
Yeah.
She and I were playing a little
Why'd you
blackjack.
call David Goggins?
Because I love him. I want to see him. He's in town.
All right.
I didn't call him to embarrass you.
Okay, it's just not.
No,
No,
listen,
that's
I
true.
call him when I'm around him. So I say, hey, what are you doing? You know,
Yeah.
come meet us. Because he was in town and, you know, I
Yeah,
love
he's-
that guy. Every time I
yeah,
get
I
a chance
love
to
him,
be around Goggins, I'm around him.
And
So-
his wife.
she's great too.
I mean, the thing I remember about that night is like
Really, bitch? Oh, yeah,
wives or the significant others are like, I don't know, a healthy relationship is really awesome.
A healthy
Brings
relationship.
out the best in you.
Yes. Yes. That's possible. This is the push-up contest you guys had. And this guy just joined in. This guy joined in. This guy next to us. There's a lot of people. And you're saying, get your full fucking body down. You're cheating. You're hammered. You tell me you're cheating.
Oh boy.
So I called Goggins just to say hi.
Yeah.
Just because I always tell him. I always call him when I'm in town.
Yeah, I went back to Vegas. You go for UFC, right?
Yeah. And shows and stuff like that. But yeah.
They're so. I love the darkness of that place. I went there recently. Just walked around the strip. Just the characters that are there.
It's a wild place.
I got to hang out. Do you know Imagine Dragons, the band?
Yeah.
Lead singer Dan Reynolds. I hung out with him. He grew up Mormon, and I think there's a lot of that kind of community around Vegas. And it's so interesting that Vegas, with the darkness that's in the middle, like in the Strip, around there's like a normal city.
Yeah.
And
Well, if you go to like Henderson, super normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like there's a lot of places outside of Vegas that like kind of rely on the tourism and all that jazz, but they're really normal.
Yeah, and so Dan, I don't know. You talked to Black Keys recently. I don't get a chance to interact with many musicians, but that like a super famous person, obviously, but super normal. It's so exciting and refreshing to see when people are like, I don't know, at the top of the world and they're just normal and
There's a lot of them out
they're
there.
sweet. And he's suffered. He's been open about it with depression and stuff like that. So I think psychological struggle is struggle of any kind, but like deep psychological struggle really humbles you. No matter what, you like get to appreciate every single day.
Yeah.
And that fame doesn't matter. Just being alive, like close to the people you love and all that kind of stuff, you start to realize that's what matters.
Well, me and my wife have been having these conversations recently about people that we know now, because there's like a level of fame you get where other famous people reach out to you and you go hang out with them.
Yeah.
Like, it's why is it funny?
It's a funny, almost like a blue check mark, but for fame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's real. Like, I get people reach out to me. Like,
You're
hey,
famous too now. We should talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they know that I'm going to just be a person around them. Right. And also, if they're fans of the podcast, they know that I am just a person. Like, I can't hide 3 hours a day for thousands of episodes. I think everybody listening to this podcast knows me as well as probably anybody in my life other than my wife. So it's you get an understanding of that person, and you go, you know what? I think I can hang out with them and it'd be normal. Whereas like a regular person would be like, oh my God, Matthew McConaughey, I loved you in Interstellar. You're so amazing. Can I get a selfie? Could you do that? Like, I become friends with Matthew McConaughey and had dinner with his family, and we went to the soccer game the other day. He's a beautiful person, sweetheart of a guy, super normal, like movie star, Oscar winner, greatest guy, so normal, like you hang out with him. He and I just chill, we talk, like it's just a guy, but he's a movie star, but he needs someone around him who can also just be normal. And I think most people are just so, like you were with Bobby Lee, or you were with me when you first met me, or I was with Anthony Bourdain. When I first met Anthony Bourdain, I was such a fucking dork because I couldn't believe it was him. Like, I'm hanging out with him and he knows who I am and he likes me. And then he came to see my show and I'm like, oh, and he told me how funny I was. I'm like, this is crazy. This can't be real.
Yeah.
But
How long did it take you to lose that with Anthony Bourdain?
it took a few hangs. We had to hang a few times. It was odd. Yeah, I deeply admired him while he was alive. I love his thought process and the way he wrote all of the narration of No Reservations and then of Parts Unknown. He wrote all that. And he's a brilliant writer on top of being like this amazing just thinker. Like he was capable of putting that down in a way where the way he flavored these conversations was like the way a great chef would flavor a great meal. It's like there was something to it that was, I really admired his appreciation of creativity and of rebellion and of art and someone who's really good. He was like, he wrote in his Twitter bio, it just said enthusiast. That's who he was, He was just like, so it took a while for me to hang with him, but fortunately I got to hang with him quite often, and maybe not often enough. There was like, I just get fucking sad about that one. That one's a hard one. That was a hard one for me because that's a waste. It's just so unnecessary. It's like you hit a low point and you pulled the chute, and the world suffered because of that, and his family suffered and his daughter suffered. It's like, fuck, man, I know that those feelings are there, but you can fight those off and there will be a better day. This too will pass, and there'll be a better day, and the thing that you in those better days are friends. And I don't think I was quite close enough to him for him to reach out, but if he did, I think I could have helped. Because I've had a lot of experience with crazy women in my life. I've had a lot of experience with what he was going through. And sometimes you need a guy to go, hey man, I'll tell you fucking exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of these people they'll get close to you and then they'll try to damage you and they'll try to hurt you because they're hurt, because they're fucked up. And and they're fucked up because someone fucked them up, and it's a fucking endless cycle. It's almost like a cycle of, you hear about people that were molested and then they go on to molest other people. It's like that kind of a thing,
But I think it's probably often difficult to reach out when you're in that state.
It's almost impossible. You don't. First of all, you don't think that when you're struggling and you're all fucked up, you feel pathetic and you feel weak.
And you don't want to be a burden to others.
Exactly.
That's how you think about it.
Well, that's him anyway. He was very, very independent anyway. But
Have you ever been to a dark place like that yourself?
No.
You never
No.
thought about suicide?
No. No.
Not even like in the distance? Not even?
No. No, I mean, not in my adult life. I mean, maybe I thought about it fake when I was a kid, like faking it. Like, oh, I'd rather be dead. But it's fake.
Yeah.
But as an adult, no. I've had dark moments, obviously. I've had dark public moments, right? But I'm very aware what it is. And I'm very aware that things pass. And
This
that
too shall pass. You can just wait it out.
Yes, and not only that, but there's value in those experiences, and this is something that really needs to be. It needs to be addressed, and you need to understand it. Is that you will become stronger through your overcoming of these terrible moments. And these terrible moments, in them is an opportunity for growth. And and also perspective-wise, like whatever these terrible moments are, relatively speaking to, like, we're talking about Yemen, we're talking about people that live in the Congo, people that are in the middle of the civil war. These are nothing, And there's that old expression: the worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing that's ever happened to you. Whether it's you're a spoiled kid who doesn't get the toy that they think they deserve, or whether you're an adult who's relationship with this woman like Bourdain turned out to be insanely toxic, and you're deeply embarrassed, and you're going to be exposed because you paid off a child that she was having sex with, and it's going to come out because you were a vocal proponent of the Me Too movement because you thought it was a good and just thing, and you're trying to be a good person, and and then it's a lot, man. The whole thing was a lot, but it was just. When you lose a great one, and in my opinion, I mean, you've seen the giant artwork I have of him around here. I think he was a great soul, like a great creative, innovative, fascinating person. The way he thought, the way he expressed himself.
Yeah, there's certain people there, and they're rare, it seems like. It's almost like Hunter S. Thompson or somebody like that. They are able to reveal a culture of a place, like the spirit of a place when they show up.
Yeah.
And that means, he was, I guess, talking about food, but it's much bigger than that.
It's really culture that he talked about. The food was like a vehicle to get into the culture, and he was really interested in exploring these cultures and talking to these people, and he just loved it. Like, Vietnam was like one of his favorite places. He always talked about Vietnam, like, made me want to go. There was so many places that he was always visiting. But one of the things that really bonded us was, while we were friends, he became addicted to jiu-jitsu. And then we became, like, closer. Because then we were hanging out, he would ask me questions. And we were on a pheasant hunt in Montana, and we were rolling around on the ground. I'm showing the Japanese necktie to him, because I'm explaining to him, like, if you can't sink a darce up, I'm like, you got long arms. I'm like, you gotta learn the Japanese necktie. So we're, like, rolling around on the fucking ground, and I'm explaining the Japanese necktie to him. So I'll never forget that. It was fun.
Yeah, discovering the human chest, so yeah.
Yeah, well, it's also the vulnerability that you are acutely aware of.
It's so honest. It's unlike anything else in terms of honesty. There's it's like being smacked in the face over and over, just like the embarrassment of it, the brutality of it somehow connects you to your, like, animal origins, because it's the closest for most of us will ever get to death is being choked out.
Yeah, or heel hooked, or anything. Like, you're gonna be crippled, then someone can do whatever they want to you. It's a spiritual game. You're playing doesn't just test your body; it tests your spirit. I remember some of my favorite people are very good at jiu-jitsu. It's because I think they'd learned something from that. And
you know who just started doing jiu-jitsu? Mark Zuckerberg.
Get the fuck out of
I
here!
told him he should come down to Austin and roll. But I told him that you've been injured. but
I'll roll with him. To be 100%
well, white belts
roll
are
with
dangerous.
Zuckerberg. Are they really?
Well, white belts in general, they get very excited.
Yeah.
Especially you roll with Joe Rogan or somebody like that, or with me.
Yeah.
You get very excited. But
Well, he did. He went on a period of time for like a whole year where he killed his food. Everything he ate, he killed. Did you know about that?
no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like he had chickens, and I think he did a little bit of hunting. He went for a period of it. Believe he made a goal of for 1 year. All the meat that he ate was something that he killed.
Yeah, actually, I mean, he did extreme sports and so on. I got a chance to meet him and talk with him and hang out with him and talk with him a lot after. He seems like a normal person.
Well, you know, you can only be so normal if you're running Facebook.
Right.
But as far as being a normal person in that context, I bet.
Well, no, I've interacted with a lot of tech leaders, and a lot of them are not quite normal. That's a political way of phrasing it.
Yeah.
I just felt that the human being is compassionate, like the way, you know, it's the small things, it's the details. The way he's presented is robotic, but the way he pays attention to people and people that work with him, for him, just small details, the kindness he has, it's interesting. I mean, I didn't expect that because the public paints him as a kind of maybe not necessarily a monster, but somebody who's almost like a sociopath or something like that. Who's
Yeah.
not able to feel other beings, and he did not. That's not how he came off. Now, what that shows to me is, you know, Facebook is a machine, and perhaps the leaders of the machine don't necessarily have power to control the machine always.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what that
How
shows
much
to me.
power do you have? I mean, how much can you have? You have how many hundreds of thousands of employees worldwide?
Well, I think it actually has to do with how much power you want to take. Which is like, there's certain leaders like Elon or Steve Jobs that I think like to be in control. And they would like to make big decisions and revolutionary decisions, saying, no, the way we've been doing things, let's change completely. Let's change the direction of the company completely. His bid for Twitter, you know, having the sort of the character and the guts to go in and say we're going to change the way things are done completely. That's a certain kind of personality. I think those are the kind of personalities that lead to the creation of great businesses, that lead to the pivoting of businesses that are becoming stale into becoming great businesses again. So I think that we admire those people, but they have also sort of downsides of, you know, yelling and being passionate and being, you know, anger issues, all those kinds of things. If you're polite, that's a difficult thing. You know, how much politeness, kindness, and compassion do you want in a leader of a company? Because if you're too polite, you're going to have corporate structure that's going to just become stale. There's going to be a momentum. You know, you see that in Silicon Valley with a bit too much wokeism taking over.
Well, have you seen some of those Project Veritas videos of the people that work at Twitter that were secretly filmed discussing what it's like there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously yes, I know, but that's...
What you just did is, that's the problem I have with all of it.
Well, with all of it on all sides, though.
Yeah, but I mean, with all of it, like these people being interviewed, like, without their knowledge.
Yeah.
They think they're on dates.
Right.
You know?
But this
They're drinking, stupid shit gets said.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he confronts them at a restaurant.
I think that's unfair, and it's clickbait and so on. But it's also representative of a culture.
And it's also an expose of a culture that has immense power. And so if you can get these rare windows into how it actually functions, that might be the only way to do it, is to get these people in these intimate moments where they're candid, where they don't know that they're being recorded. And they say things, and you get an understanding of the fact that you can just take time off whenever you don't feel well mentally. You can take a week off, you can take a month off, no one cares. And that the entire operation is essentially, they think that they're communists, and that they think that, you know, capitalism is inherently bad, and that these are the people that are running the discourse of the biggest social media site in terms of the ability to disseminate information the world's ever known.
And it's not necessarily what they believe. What bothers me the most is the arrogance that they can know the truth.
Right.
Or they can know what is and isn't misinformation. But I think it's okay to be to be whatever, a capitalist or a communist, but as long as you have a deep humility about your understanding of the world.
And you're not trying to enforce those ideals on other people.
Yeah. You might bring them up as part of a conversation,
Yeah.
but like you have a sense that you might be very wrong, and that's the kind of humility you have to bring to the table, and then that's where you have to have actual diversity of ideas at the table. And that's
Yes.
why I think Elon is a really good pushback at Twitter against the sort of woke culture, corporate culture that
Yes.
emerged in Silicon Valley. That's why I admire the man for doing that. I think he brought onto himself a lot of political division that naturally ended political division, saying he's not going to vote Democrat anymore.
Yeah.
You just entered the political domain.
Well, he's openly stated he's going to vote Republican too. It's not like he said I'm a libertarian from here on out. So I'm throwing my vote away, essentially.
He
Not
said
really, but
he
kinda.
used to vote. Now you're pissing off Dave Smith.
Yeah.
I think he's running for office actually under the Libertarian.
Davis? Where?
No, for president.
Dave?
Yeah.
When?
The comedian.
2024?
Yeah.
Is he for sure? I didn't know he announced.
No, I don't know if he's announced, but he's flirting with the announcement. I mean,
He knows a lot. He's very, very indulgent.
I think self-admittedly he says he doesn't care about winning, which is exactly the kind of people that should probably run or actually win. But
You need very unique human beings to take on any of those jobs and do it in a compassionate, humanitarian, like beneficial way for the society at large, because it's going to be at a detriment to you. And I think part of the problem with politicians as we know them is that they do things for the benefit of themselves that are ultimately at a detriment for their constituents, because they're doing things and they get corrupted by money. Like money comes in and they start moving in this way or that way depending upon their relationships, and this sort of
and money's delicious, power is delicious, and then there's assholes that start criticizing in the press, and you want to suppress them, and then you get Navalny. I think yesterday just got 9 years in prison. Navalny, in Russia, probably the second most popular political figure in Russia.
What did he do? What was his?
So I mean, obviously there's several narratives here.
Yeah.
So Navalny is a critic, outspoken, extremely popular critic of Putin and the Putin regime. I think what he's in prison for is some kind of fraud, some kind of. Even fact checking me on this is very difficult to figure out who's. But I think the official thing is there's some kind of movement of money that did not follow law. I don't know the exact details. Navalny was already serving a jail term. He addressed the court. The point is, they're not going to tell you here. You're not going to get clear articles on either side. Most of the Western press are going to tell you it's all bullshit. But there might be some truth of the fraud, but it doesn't matter. Obviously, he does not deserve any of this. Most people believed he would actually die, be murdered, suicided, like our good friend Jeffrey Epstein. Or your good friend, sorry.
Fuck you. I had an opportunity to meet that guy once.
You did?
Yeah. Yeah, somebody invited me to go to lunch with him. So what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, you did? You didn't actually go?
No.
Okay.
This was after he'd been arrested.
Oh,
Before he'd
that's
been
right.
arrested the second time, but after he'd been arrested the first time.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people did.
Yeah.
He had parties at his house where celebrities went and scientists went, and this is post being arrested. Post, he had some sort of a weird jail sentence where he's house arrest, and
I've gotten a bunch of invites to parties over the past few months, and I've gotten a chance to meet rich people. I'm very suspicious of
You should
these
be.
people.
You should be.
I don't know if the weird people become rich, or does wealth make you weird? I don't know if there's a weirdness. There's something. There's your basic calculus of morals seems to become corrupted over time, and not necessarily in an evil direction, in a weird direction. All kinds of weird.
Eyes wide shut type shit.
Yeah, why don't we all wear masks and go naked? like that kind of stuff, and it makes me, it makes me feel like I'm not on sturdy ground in terms of what is good, and what is evil. Like, I mean, the same thing with Ukraine and Russia. Just so much information from so many people that is so heartfelt, both actual journalistic information and spoken information from people. Same thing like racism in America, right? You have the BLM movement, you have African American people on Clubhouse or wherever I get a chance to speak with them. There's a particular message. Like, there's significant institutional racism in America. And then you listen to like Douglas Murray or whoever and saying, no, let's look at the data. Like, you have to be very rigorous and analytical about this, and there's not institutional racism or something like that. And you listen to both these like groups that are very passionate about this, and you don't know exactly what the truth is. You have to kind of think, you have to keep an open mind, have humility, read, try to control your emotions, all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to do that with Ukraine and Russia and China and India and Western press, and I'm trying to do that with these weird elites who are like, that I'm not exactly sure. Like, I'm really afraid of becoming corrupted, either by fame or money, all that kind of stuff. Like, that does that naturally happen to people? Do you become weird? Because
I still hang out with comedians, man.
Yeah, I think comedians are.
I hang out with comedians and fighters. I mean, that's most of my friends. I have a few bow hunter friends.
Yeah.
Comedians, martial artists. This just, I find them to be of the most inquisitive people, the people of the best character. I like them. They're real.
I wouldn't trust Tim Dillon with power or fame.
I'm trying to make him president.
Yeah. You do realize once you do, he'll turn on you.
I don't care.
He'll destroy everything you stand for.
It's okay. Good luck. But I know what you're saying about the elites, and I think it's part of it is there's a thrill about being able to do things that other people can't do. Like, there's a thrill about, like, one of the things you hear about like elites is that like sometimes they'll have these parties and then the help will be the ones who talk about it, like the people that are the caterers or the people that are the maids. It's like the arrogance to be naked with a crow mask on, wandering around the maid. Like, what is that? Well, it's like part of what they want is they want someone who's not them to observe how much freedom they have and how the rules don't apply to them. It's like something they want. I think that's like why people like to take photos of private jets. It's like, I'm not doing what you're doing. I'm doing something different. Look at me. Look at me here with my Gucci bag and my fur coat, about to step on a fucking giant jet.
And if you break like moral rules, that's exciting, because look at you all suckers following your morality. We can break that. And then when you break legal rules, like, that's what probably Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell got off on.
Yes.
It's like, we don't have to follow society's rules. Fuck them.
Or they were intelligence and they subverted, they attracted that aspect of these people. You know, Eric said something to me once, Weinstein. He said, I think there are people that try to curate experiences for other people that are too high profile. And so the way they do that is to get comfortable with them, get them comfortable to relax their guard, and then, of course, with heterosexual men, bring them around women, with homosexual, bring them around men that are there to please them. Like, there are scenarios where people have hired people to go, like for instance, I know of influencer parties they had in LA where they would hire hot models. They would hire them to just be friendly to everybody. You didn't have to have sex with the guests, but the idea was you would have like 100 gorgeous women at this party of 500 people. And these gorgeous women were literally hired to walk around and be friendly to people, you know, and just make it so it's a thrilling experience to dorks.
It's so weird. It's so weird.
It's weird.
That's why I don't talk to women. I assume they're CIA or FBI. All of them.
But, I mean, that's what Epstein did. He had a fucking island, and he would fly these beautiful, I don't want to say women, because some of them weren't women, some of them were girls, and fly them there. And he curated these experiences, and by all accounts, there was at least some connection to intelligence, whether it was foreign or domestic. There was some sort of a connection to intelligence agencies, and they used this sort of very relaxed social climate. I don't know if drugs are involved. I'm assuming alcohol was involved, and then sex was involved. And
So do you lean towards believing that intelligence has seeks that kind of influence?
100%, they always have.
No,
If you go to Operation Mockingbird,
They haven't always have. They've had examples throughout history, but the question is the scale. The scale of their operation is the question I have.
well, wouldn't you want, if you had someone who had ultimate power, like a president, right? Someone that like, wouldn't you want to get a little something on them? Get a little something on them, kind of influence them one way or another? What would be
Me
the best way?
personally, no.
I don't mean you.
What?
I mean, if you were in this sort of geopolitical game like, a lot of it is about relationships and influence, right? There's decisions that can be made one way or another, and sometimes you make these decisions based on the relationships that you have, based on the influence, based on what the other people around you are also being influenced by these groups.
Yeah.
And you go in one way or another, and you can shift things so that one group of people make enormous amounts of money, or one group of people, their business dies. This is a weird game of 4D chess.
But how many people? That's what I ask of myself. How many people are willing to cross the line of compromising others, installing shit on?
There's plenty of people. Secret CIA files say staffers committed sex crimes involving children. What the fuck is this? Declassified CIA Inspector General reports show a pattern of abuse and a repeated decision by federal prosecutors not to hold agency personnel accountable. What is this about?
They have, and this, I heard about this recently. This article came out December, so it's not new, but I feel like it's 10 different employees that are contractors.
Committed sexual crimes involving children. Though most of these cases were referred to U.S. attorneys for prosecution, only one of the individuals was ever charged with the crime. Prosecutors sent the rest of the cases back to the CIA to handle internally, meaning few faced any consequences beyond the possible loss of their jobs and security clearances. That marks a striking deviation from how sex crimes involving children have been handled at other federal agencies such as Department of Homeland Security, the Drug Enforcement Administration. CIA insiders say the agency resists prosecutions of its staff for fear the cases will reveal state secrets. Does that make sense?
That said, the Catholic Church
Yeah.
is doing a much larger scale operation.
Well, that seems to be just a function of how they operate. It seems so prevalent that, I mean, when Pope Benedict was removed, he was being wanted by other countries for crimes against humanity. I mean, from what I understand, he's trapped in the Vatican, which is essentially its own country. It doesn't have extradition, which is very weird because it's a small country. It's like a few city blocks inside of Italy.
Yeah, but there's probably a definitive power hierarchy,
Mm-hmm.
and you can control people. It's basically like a nice version of the mob.
But it's also, there's something we were talking about, like...
No disrespect.
No disrespect to the mob. So we were talking about
to the
people...
Catholic Church.
We were talking about people who will get molested, like boys who get molested when they're young by men, oftentimes will molest other boys.
Yes.
This is a horrible... It's almost like... I've always thought about it, it's like, I wonder if it's where the concept of being a vampire comes from. Like you're stealing life.
Yeah.
And that you, by biting someone, you turn them into that. That's almost like an analogy of that or a metaphor of that. It's a crazy thing that it happens so often. One of the things you hear about when men are molested when they're children, that they'll go on, like a lot of these guys who molest children, they're molested when they were children.
Yeah.
A lot of these men who go to rape boys, like these Catholic priests were molested by other Catholic priests. And it's almost a thing that carries on.
Abuse and trauma propagates through the generations. It's strange, yeah.
Yes. And
it's hard to change, stop the cycle.
And there's also probably an insane amount of power psychologically that's involved in doing something to someone that was done to you. when you were a boy. It's fucking dark shit.